It's Monday again, which means it is
time for another Mindset Mondays.
so cheesy.
That is very cheesy. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
So today we're going to talk about if you feel like you're getting stuck in a rut, if you feel like you're getting bogged down with the thoughts of trying to lose weight or getting in shape, about your nutrition. Ultimately, what we're thinking about is if you become too reactive to situations. And we've all been there, feeling very emotional, and you react to situations rather than being creative in your life.
And sometimes when you've reacted to them, you become very emotional, they can't think straight. Whether it's anger, or if you're anxious about a situation.
Yep.
We've all had bouts of that.
Yeah,
you think
to
yourself
nervous, you could just be, upset, angry, emotional.
You're so emotional you can't see the forest for the trees sometimes. It's not until sometimes later, when you've calmed down and reflected on it, you think, God, actually there was a solution there, and now I can see it. I don't know what the hell I was thinking.
Yeah, and there's a reason for this, and it all comes down to science and biology, the different parts of the brain, which Rab will go into in a second, but ultimately there's different parts of the brain, and when we become emotional or even stressed, we've got a lot of blood flow going into the part that we don't want, and we have to know what that is and how to change it.
So you may have heard that you've got your left and right hemisphere. I'm trying to think of which way I'm facing the camera here. I would say left and right hemispheres of the brains, and they're connected by an area called the corpus callosum. Okay?
Ooh, that's a good word.
Ultimately, the left side of the brain controls the right side of the body and that, but also the left side of the brain is generally, it's theorised because they know exactly, I think they've pretty worked out, through studies that, if you were doing sums or anything logical, the left side of the brain fires up. Okay. When any emotional, whether it's pleasure, pain, whatever, it tends to be the right side of the brain that fires up. Now what it suggested is, and from research and studies they've done, is that if you become really, really angry, the right brain becomes dominant. It's like rage. And it's not until you calm down that the logical side of the brain kicks in. You start to think rationally, you calm down a bit, you think, actually, what was I being so angry?
Yeah, and then you get the solution to whichever problem you had the problem with.
Yeah, the problem with the problem.
The problem with the problem.
Likewise, sometimes people that can only think logically struggle to be creative because the creative side of the brain is also the emotional side of the brain. So some people are dominant on one side, other people the other.
Yeah, definitely.
Now what we're going to give you today is 2 tips actually.
2 little tips.
To control yourself. You control yourself with these 2 tips.
They're both relatively easy. One is simpler than the other, but both very doable for every single person watching this.
Yeah. So let's pick a situation. So basically, Stephen's forgotten his wallet again. Rab has to pay for lunch. I'm raging.
Bird got.
And I'm raging. I think, God, it always happens. I'm not thinking clearly. I'm like, damn it, I hate that guy. Not thinking clearly. So a little tip we can do to calm down.
Hey!
You got the spiky one.
I got the spiky.
So what you want to do is you want to encourage both sides of the brains to talk to one another. So passing a ball, cross hands, or anything really. You can pass an apple. You can even bounce on the floor if you want to be creative with it. Ooh.
I don't know if it was bouncing. Oh, it is.
Yeah. Bring it across the midline. It forces both sides of the brains to talk to each other. So when it's going to cross onto the other side, your logical brain's kicking in for a fraction of a second, it's kicking back, and that allows you to calm down. Let's both sides of the brain talk to one another. Do that for a couple of minutes, and it really does work. You'll calm down. So the next time you're absolutely raging, emotional side of the brain fired up, get the logical side going, go across the midline.
There we are.
Tip number 1.
Tip number 1. So tip number 2. Tip number 2 is actually just to fire the logical side of the brain up. Okay, so we use the example, and by the way, I have actually forgot my wallet again, and we're going out for lunch after this, so... See? The Rab's raging. Rab rage. Okay, but to calm him down, all I have to do is say, right, Rab, what's 11 times 7?
77.
What is 9 times 3?
27.
What is 5 times 4?
20.
Hey! Okay.
I'm so glad he was nice.
So now Rab's logical side, it's impossible for you to think of those answers emotional. They're not emotional answers, they're very logical answers. And that can be done in many different ways. You can start playing Sudoku. Sudoku. Yeah. You know what I mean. You could do crosswords, you could do whatever it is going
Balance your checkbook.
Whatever's going to fire up the logical side of the brain. Any task that's impossible to think emotionally about. Okay, so like 7 times 11, for instance. So it's forcing the logical side of the brain to fire up, then go back to your problem. Okay, you're no longer emotional about it, you'll be very logical, and rather than being the Rab rage,
I'm just like, it's okay, buddy. You due me 5 lunches. I'll get them one day.
There we are.
So these are really good tips, and they really do work. I mean, you sometimes see these sort of tips and you think, what's that good? Trust me, just cross the midline, do some sums.
Yeah, try it. It certainly does work. You have to be in the... It's almost like go-to, right? So see when you're raging, you're like, do Sudoku, you crazy? You have to have this go-to reaction. If you get emotional, if you know that you're one of those people who gets emotional about problems, about your weight, about trying on new clothes, whatever it might be, then have a go-to answer, whether it's just having a ball or, it could be passing your wallet or your purse from side to side.
And not necessarily always rage. You could be anxious about something. Something might be coming up, you might have a big thing on at work that you're really worried about, maybe a presentation. And as long as you'll need to recognise first that you are anxious, you'll take your mind and just think, you know what, I'll go and sit down, I'll do a Sudoku, and then I'll think about the problem again later. The logical side of the brain will fire it up, calm down, and you'll be able to look at it with a fresh set of eyes.
There we are.
Mindset Monday.
Mindset Monday is 2 simple solutions to a very common problem.